Hi, this is Katie Shell, and I am an intuitive healer and spiritual counselor. And this video is about the upcoming new moon in Gemini. The information in this video will include stuff that is kind of general to Gemini, new moons in general, general to Gemini in general, even. And so there is relevance if you're watching this at a later date. But really, as we go on, I will bring in other aspects that are pertinent to this particular new moon, and that make this next couple weeks unique and the kind of energy that's coming through. And so when we talk about a new moon, we are talking about the beginning stages of growing something new. And when we're at the beginning, anything and everything is possible. So I always invite you at the beginning of a new moon not to limit yourself and your desires by any sort of preconceived notion of what you can or cannot have, achieve, or attract into your life. Because right now, everything and anything is possible. So putting that energy out there to attract what is right for you. So when we're talking about Gemini, we're talking about communication. We're talking about duality. We're talking about learning and creating things and kind of moving. I love the thing that I always love about Gemini is that it's about taking in all sorts of information and then changing and moving and go. Gemini is an air sign, so it's about moving with the wind. It's a mutable sign, so it's about flexibility. So this is the most flexible sign and adaptable sign that there is in the entire zodiac. And so what do we want to shift? What do we want to change? What do we want to experience? What do we want to learn? What kinds of relationships are we attracting into our life? Because we're always thinking about relationships, and there's some things, because this particular new moon there's also a conjunction happening between Venus and Mars at the same time. We are talking about passion and how we're following relationships, and it's a lot about duality, because we're talking, especially this particular new moon. Gemini is always about duality. It's about the dark and the light. It is the twins. And so when we have two things, we can't we can have a lot of fluidity between them. We can have a little bit, we can take a little bit of this and take a little bit of that, and then we're building new things as we collect all of this different stuff. So really focusing on bringing in and receiving, and what do we want to share? What do we want to learn? What do we want to communicate with other people as you set your intentions? I am some affirmations that I really like with Gemini in general, and at this new moon in particular, is I speak my truth. Everything I do is alignment. Everything I say is in alignment with my truth. Everything I say is in alignment with my desires. And so, whatever that is, and letting things come to you and then moving with them, rather than setting something firmly in stone that we want to change or shift, letting the changes come fluidly and naturally to you and then moving with them, rather than sitting still and waiting, rather than moving with things or creating some sort of linear goals or something that we might want to do if the new moon was in an earth sign like Virgo or Capricorn, or Taurus, for that. Like last month was Taurus, was the new moon in Taurus. And so that was a very different energy. That's about stability. That was about how do we feel safe? How do we feel secure? How do we gain self-confidence? How do we take our time? Gemini is about learning. It's about learning. It's about curiosity. Curiosity for me is always the most important word to use with Geminis, because it's, and as I say that, the images of, Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser. Of course she falls down the rabbit hole, but look at all she learns and gains by being willing to go into the unknown and being willing to simply follow what is interesting to her. And that can be scary for people, but But give yourself that grace and give yourself that added flexibility that comes with the Gemini new moon of enjoying the experience for the experience rather than letting the experience itself define you. And so, on top of that, during this particular new moon, we have an asteroid. We have one of the goddess asteroids, Juno, is conjunct both the sun and the moon, because the sun and moon are always conjunct on a new moon. And with Juno there, it's about commitment. It's about what are we willing to commit to? Are we, and so as I say this, I am willing to commit to living more vibrantly, to living through my curiosity, through living in a way that is in alignment with my desires. Through one of the things I love to say is experiencing the pure joy of living with every breath. And Gemini new moon conjunct Juno, we can commit to doing this. We can commit to relationships that bring this into for us, that awaken our awareness in the world. Air is about paying attention and noticing things and about the details in the world. And so we bring in that and we pay attention, and then we move and we shift and we grow from that. So this is a time to commit to ourselves, to commit to our own growth, to commit to, again, our own experiences of, and then I want to add another layer of this, and our own experiences of duality, and again, not being defined by any one thing. If you're listening to my Lilith podcast, my podcast being Lilith, I am exploring a lot of this kind of gender roles, and that's gonna play a larger part in the next few months for me. I believe, because I'm following my own curiosity, I'm following my own leads, I'm following what is showing up in my life right now and how I'm experiencing life right now, and that is part of it. Not forcing myself to be defined by anything that I thought I was once defined by, or by or by anything. Like, we can be all of the things at once. The song Meredith Brooks, "Bitch," I'm a little bit of everything, all rolled into one. That's a Gemini song. There's another one, "Try Everything," the Shakira song from Zootopia. That's a Gemini song. This is that energy that we're again pulling in right now and committing to ourselves to allow those things to be present for us, allowing all of the possibilities to be present for us. And then as we move through the cycle, as you move through that 2 week from new moon to full moon, you start to, things start to grow, and then you start to weed, and you start to nourish the things that feel good to you, and you let the other things go away. And so that growth happens as we move into the full moon. The other thing is, I always look at these things in the 2 week cycle, which is from the new moon to the next full moon. And then I also look at it at the 6-month cycle, which is from this new moon, the Gemini new moon, to the to the Gemini full moon, which happens during Sagittarius season. So I don't have, I'll add that in editing, but the Sagittarius full moon will be when, excuse me, I keep on saying Sagittarius season will have that Gemini full moon. And so we're looking at that whole 6-month cycle on top of the 2-week cycle for the next couple weeks. So so we said June. I mentioned the Juno thing. Venus and Mars are conjunct. At this time, they're not perfect. They're not like exact yet, but Venus, did I write it down? Yeah, Venus is 11 degrees and Mars is at 16. So Venus is approaching Mars, and they're about, it's about 5 degrees apart. So it is close enough that it's a conjunction, and we're going to feel that energy over the next few weeks anyway. So as we're kind of in this experiencing thing, this this drawing in things, this following of curiosity, this experiencing duality, this experience all of those things, we're going to experience masculine and feminine energy coming together in one. And that's part of the reason that I feel like this is an emphasis for this, and more so that than it might be in other Gemini, next year's Gemini new moon, because we also have that masculine and feminine coming together as one. And then in one part of this, they're not aspecting each. The Venus Mars is not aspecting the new moon, but because it is happening at the same time, we are feeling that we are it is being infused with that energy as well. And so these next couple of weeks, it will be experienced. What is feminine, what is masculine, what is relationships. Venus is about relationships, Mars is about passion. And so both of those things come into play whenever we are in relationship with another person, when we're especially in I want to say romantic relationships, physical relationships between humans that experience each other in those kinds of physical and emotional ways. Again, men and women, it can be all sort, but experimenting with that, experimenting what those roles look like, experiencing with our own fluidity, experience with the other's fluidity, and how we kind of create a dance between each other, and how we can experience that with another person in different sort of ways is really going to kind of come into and planting the seeds of what that can look like for us over the next couple weeks will be, and then over the next 6 months will be really interesting. And so looking at that, looking how you present, how you would like to present, what you would like to maybe shift, what would you like to change, what would you like to experiment with that maybe you haven't tried before, that you haven't thought about, that because of being confined to gender stereotypes, or it's Pride Month, so there's a lot of flavors out there for us to be and experience, and there's not restricting yourself to whatever it is. Even if you're, cis man and cis woman having a relationship with each other, there's different ways that you can experiment with the roles within that relationship. So, okay, so the next part, so we've got that, and then the new moon itself, I kind of skipped over into this Venus Mars thing, because to me that duality is a really important part of this. There's also on one side, one side it's with Neptune. So there's a square between Neptune and this Sun and the Moon in Gemini. So Neptune is in Pisces. And so because of that, we are going to have this opportunity to kind of expand. Our boundaries will be pushed. So this is another layer to some of the things that I was just saying with relationships. And normally I wouldn't necessarily emphasize relationships during a Gemini season, but because of the Juno conjunct the Sun and Moon, and then we have that Venus Mars thing happening, then Neptune coming in with this T-square is about pushing our edges and surrendering what is possible, surrendering to these higher sources, being open to source, to being open to compassion, to being open to dreaming. Sometimes it feels a little delusional. So what is real for us? So there's going to be question, is this real? And one of those questions that I find myself asking people, and I suggest people ask all the time of themselves, is this real? Is this true? Is this mine? And you will be confronted with that with the square. You will be confronted with what you want to say. What is truth to you? What is your truth? What is your truth? And there will be reasons to see that. We see sometimes Neptunian things being delusional. So there may be something that feels delusional to you, or there may be this desire to escape because we are being confronted, because of those boundaries are being pushed, because of our edges are being pushed. But welcome it. Let that Gemini curiosity lead in order to become more expanded, to become more in tune with the cosmic vibration and with cosmic truth, so that you are more comfortable in figuring and understanding who you are and your place in the cosmos. So that's one side of the square. The other side of the square is another as a dwarf planet. And so you may not hear as much about it. It's Ceres in Virgo. And Ceres in Virgo is about taking care of people and nurturing people. Ceres is, yeah, just, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time getting into the Ceres part of it, but Ceres is very Virgo energy too, because it's, again, all of this kind of caretaking. And it is squaring that Gemini too. So are there people that you feel that you have to take care of in your life that prevent you from saying what you need, from being yourself, from having the experiences that you desire and that you need and that you want to allow yourself to be open to? Are you taking care of yourself? Is there some, because Ceres and Virgo, we want to always turn that energy, that caretaking energy, into self-care, because we always have to put our oxygen mask on before assisting other people. And so because of that, we're experiencing this square coming into the Gemini. So one side, it's about expansion and kind of delusional thinking, and the other side, it's like, I have these responsibilities to take care of these people, and all you want to do is be curious and be and learn and experience things and breathe in life in a fuller way. So all of these things are coming together and creating, what do I want? So as you sort through this and sift through all of these possibilities over the next couple weeks, just tune back into what is real for me, what is true for me, and how does this allow me to give myself better self-care. Yes. And then one more, there's a few other things happening, but the other, two more things. I didn't want this to be super long, but I do want to get into Saturn turns retrograde in Pisces also. So this is going to be anything going in retrograde forces us to re-examine ourselves. And Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is always about responsibility. What am I asking you? What am I responsible for? And it pushes you to make those choices. So Saturn can sometimes feel a little restrictive. It can feel a little bit harsh, because Saturn's always somewhere, but when it goes retrograde, we notice it becomes emphasized for a few days or a week even. And so what am I responsible? And in Pisces, it's reminding us that we are not responsible for other people's emotions. So when have we taken on responsibility for other people's feelings, for other people's emotions? When have we taken those on for ourselves? It doesn't mean we don't have compassion. It's the other side to that with Pisces is that we do want to be compassionate, but that compassion has to come from a place of unconditional love of ourselves and unconditional love of the other person, so that there is no question about who is responsible. Everyone is responsible for themselves, but we can hold space for them. We can witness them. We can feel for them. We can have real empathy for them, but we don't take it on, because again, we can't help people if we don't allow ourselves, if we are constantly being pulled down into their drama, into their emotional displacement, dishevelment, whatever, however you want to think of it. It's not, we cannot help anybody. I do have a whole video on Saturn and Pisces somewhere in this series. And so if you get, oh, you know what? Maybe I never posted that. I don't remember. But it is important for us to reflect on what we are responsible for, on what feelings we're responsible for, and allowing us to become more vulnerable by trusting ourselves more. You become more, the more you trust yourself, the more you are open to receive from other people, because you trust that you're going to do the thing that is in alignment for you. So you're not going to give more. You're not going to, and you won't allow them to take more than you are able to give. Because what happens is we get so caught up in other people's feelings and emotions, we forget who we are. And so Saturn is going to remind us to take care of ourselves and to be crystal clear on who we are, so we can be present for others. And then Pluto just went back, retrograded back. So we got a couple of retrograde planets here. We're moving into retrograde season, so things start slowing down. We've got the solstice coming up. Solstice means pause. So it's all about this quieting the mind, coming in, moving within a little bit deeper. And so Pluto going back into Capricorn, we're going to see these. So Capricorn is all about structures, and Pluto is about breaking structures. Pluto and Capricorn is about breaking structures down so that we can rebuild them into something that is beneficial for the evolution of humanity. And so as we move, as in, it'll go back into the Aquarius again, and then from like 2024 to 2044, Pluto will be in Aquarius, and it will we'll start seeing this innovation, and we'll start seeing new structure. We'll start seeing what's next. It'll be that we will, as society, as humanity, will start receiving what it is that is going to push us into the future. But right now, Pluto and Capricorn had to break down the old structures for us before we could start building and creating and thinking about and envisioning this better future for all of us, and envisioning this better future for humanity. So noticing, as Pluto is in Capricorn, again, what kinds of things are breaking down, what kind of structures are breaking down, both personally and in and collectively, because Pluto is all about transformation, and wherever Pluto is, this is the next stage, because it's 10 to 20 to longer years in each sign, where it is churning things up in order to move them forward, and change things and transform things and grow. And it's the pivotal component to our astrological makeup of society, of humanity, that pushes the evolution of humanity forward, which is why so much of evolutionary astrology in a lot of ways is focused on Pluto. So yeah, anyway, so that sums it up. Those were the things that I wanted to focus on. I am going to be offering a new service, so if anyone is interested in it, please go to my website or email me directly, katieshell@gmail.com, katieshell.com, about a monthly subscription service that I will do a short, you'll have the option of either a live or recorded monthly forecast, where I look at all of the upcoming things and how they affect your chart as an individual. And so please look for that. I'm excited to be able to offer it. And if you do know how to look at your chart, I didn't mention that, or did I? This Gemini new moon is at 26 degrees of Gemini. So you'll see where that is in your chart. And yeah, anyway, so thank you very much for joining me. Hope this helps, and I will have a great day.